Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and this week, as some of you out there may just get your wish for a longer video, because I've got 9 books to give you my thoughts, opinions and reviews on. There's a lot going on in this week's comics that I picked up on my pull list. For those of you who are a regular viewer, you already know what books I picked up because you've already seen Wednesday's video. And so it's time to reveal how I felt about them. Don't forget that there will be spoilers in this video, so if you've not read any of the books, then please stop the video, run off, read it, come back, or just fast forward it until you don't see that comic book and a new one appears. So without further ado, we have as a starting point, and a very poor one I'm afraid, it's X-Men Blue issue number 29, and this comic had the power of disappointment. Colin Bunn is better than this, and I don't know whether it's just because he's the kind of editorial Marvel plan, if they have one, is kind of dumbing down his writing, but this new story, The Search from Jimmy Hudson, is just so obvious. It's completely unoriginal. I've seen it so many times. From the predictable start where we've got Jimmy moping out in a bar, he gets chatted up by a beautiful young lady who just happens to know a bunch of kind of muscle-bound thugs, I guess you'd call them, and a fight ensues, which makes this poison entity within him come out, and he causes havoc, and it's crazy. So you've got that predictable start. Then you get the typical middle part where our heroes, this new team of X-Men, the young displaced teenagers, come over with the pretense of talking to Jimmy, helping him out, helping him control or be rid of this poison entity within him, but inevitably it ends up as a big fight. And then finally you get that kind of faux shock ending where Dakin appears and he seemingly kills Jimmy with a big samurai sword through the back, and we kind of get a push on that Magneto has taken these new team of X-Men as their own and kind of left our young X-Men out to fend for themselves. And I just felt it was such lazy writing, and it doesn't even address the fact that our guys are back from space after their little kind of Venom storyline offshoot. Perhaps that got addressed somewhere else, but you know, as a reader I can't pick up every single copy, so you don't know. You need to be filled in a little bit at least on how these heroes have been changed. It even says in the little kind of blurb at the start, after an adventure in deep space, the original X-Men returned to Earth, changed by their experiences. Well, how have they changed? They're acting exactly how they did before they left. Nathan Stockman, the artist, he kind of starts strong here. There's something interesting to look at. These kind of barroom scenes I quite enjoyed. I'm not aware, or I can't remember who or what Nathan Stockman has been on before, but it's nice. But until you get to the kind of fighting scenes, that it all starts to get a bit sloppy, I guess you'd call it, a little bit kind of average. So he's good at doing the kind of intimate shots, the intimate panels within the book, but when it comes to big action sequences, the kind of quality level I feel dips. But it's such a shame. just let Colin Byrne loose, let him do what he does and what he does so well in other titles when he's just, you know, left on to his own devices. So I'm afraid this was the worst book on my pull list this week. On to Spectacular Spider-Man issue 305. And this comic has the power, as so many other comics do when they're messing around with kind of time and alternative kind of universes, is the path not taken. What if this happened instead of the original premise happening? And here we have Chip Zdarsky, wrapping up the No More storyline, and this is the play where we've seen Peter Parker of this particular timeline giving up Spider-Man, which we've seen in the Marvel regular universe, but not going back to it, not becoming Spider-Man once again. And the implications of that, which of course was Osborn becomes a kind of, I guess he's the mayor now, or he's the leader, and of course all around him are the villains, the super villains, as his kind of backup team. So we get a great deal of alternative versions of our heroes and villains in this book, but we left off the last issue with our kind of renegade superheroes of this timeline, like Captain America, Doctor Strange, and there was a couple of others that I can't remember now, along with our Spider-Man, his sister Teresa, and J. Jonah Jameson, going to break out this timeline's version of Doom, who hopefully will be able to fix the time platform, which will allow our team to get back to their original timeline. Of course, this breakout and heading off to fix this time platform is a trap settled in by Osborn, and what really is the making of this timeline's Sinister Six, as we see an alternate version of Kraven, Doc Ock, Vulture, Scorpion and Shocker, and you of course get the big fight, which leads to Captain America getting shot, clinging on to life, Stephen Strange using his magic to just keep that little ember of life going, and basically everything ends up as you would expect. Osborn does get away, and he obviously for this timeline's Spider-Man, a villain for him to be a kind of protagonist for, but I don't quite get this. Is it a kind of an alternative universe? If it's an alternative timeline, then why does the ending feel like this could go on and on and on, as we've got this timeline's Peter Parker donning the Spider-Man uniform once again, the costume, and becoming a superhero that he was always meant to be. Are we going to get yet another Spider-Man title? Let's hope not, with Spider-Geddon coming along, which hopefully will kill off lots of these Spider characters, because there's far too many. And we've just added yet another one. And there were some nice elements to this. I always like Adam Kubert's artwork in here. I think it's a nice touch having this timeline Spider-Man have a red webbing. It was a little nice touch, but apart from that, again, it's one of those kind of predictable Marvel titles, unfortunately. I wonder whether the next issue we're going to actually be back in the present day, because we've got this alien invasion going on, which we kind of get reminded of, but there seems to be no huge impetus for them to get back. Maybe because it is all about timey-wimey stuff, and they hopefully are going to get there before the invasion starts, or as the invasion's about to begin and they can repel it all. But it's all a bit of a mess at the moment, but hopefully Zdarsky can bring it all together and defeat this alien invasion and the Tinkerer's plan that has been going on. I like it, it's okay. Okay, it's The Flash issue number 48. And I think the power that comics has more than anything is to do something original. It's only beholden to the creator's imagination. However, this isn't original. Oh, Joshua Williamson. It's just a story of heroes repeating the same mistakes their kind of mentors have already done. Here we have, in this whole Flash War event that I guess we're having over in the Flash universe, we've got the original Wally West, who we've seen come back after Rebirth, escaping the Speed Force, but not having all his memories of what came before. That's all to do with the New 52, Convergence, Divergence, all that DC nonsense. But just lately, the memories have been kicking in, and finally they're kind of full into the fore. And here, a recent memory he's remembered is that he used to have kids, Jay or Jai and Irie. Crazy names. And Zoom, our Flash villain, has convinced Wally that they are stuck in the Speed Force, and he has to go, Wally West, as the Flash, has to go in these apparently small pockets of kind of doorways to go back into the Speed Force and rescue them. Now, come on. I mean, we've got 70, 80 odd years worth of comic books to gather from, the history from. When has a villain ever told the truth or has had a secret agenda? There's something, you know, rotten in the state of the Flash universe. But despite even that, even regardless of that, Barry Allen, the Flash, has been through this already with the whole Flashpoint. He's attempted to change the past, and we saw the mess that led to with Flashpoint. And Wally knows this, and Barry kind of tries to beat it into him, but we have this Wally West who is so hot-headed, who is so arrogant that he can be different, and it won't repeat again, that he just goes for it. He still thinks it's a great idea despite all this damning evidence to the contrary. I get that this is comics, that there's got to be a story there. I get that, alright, at least I hope I get that Joshua Williamson is leading to something. But it's a sloppy way to get there, and I'm sure there has to be better ways. And again, it's just one of those books that has done great so far. I've really been enjoying it, but now it feels like, oh, we've got to have an event here, we've got to have a big storyline, but not putting 100% effort into creating something new, something original, something entertaining. However, we've still got Howard Porter and Hi-Fi on the art and colouring, and it does still look fantastic. I just love the excitement, the kinetic speed of the panels. It just looks great, and I hope these guys are going to be on it for a great deal of time. Just again, we end with, they're going to have this race with Barry trying to keep up, or at least stop Wally from entering the Speed Force and probably mucking things up. But still, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm hoping Joshua Williamson is going somewhere with this. Only time will tell. Now we have the Grave Diggers Union issue number 7 coming to the end of this. I guess you call it a mini-series now. And it's great the way that comics have this power to build character, or at least characters. And and no more so, and in such a small amount of time, Image Comics certainly have their eye on characters rather, or not being secondary to the main storyline. And here we have Wes Craig dealing with the fallout after the battle for this kind of alien white monkey. And what he does is gives us the history of two of our main protagonists, Cole and Morgan. Leading out of the aftermath of the big battle from the last issue, we see now this new dynamic between the two characters, because one, Cole, is very aware of Morgan's affiliations with this black cult, given that he's gone to go and rescue her, or at least wanting to know where she is, and Morgan realising her father is now alive. And it's dealt really nicely, and like I said, it's dealt more with the character. We get this history of Cole taking his daughter when she was very little to the witches to find out what's wrong with her, and the head witch of this building, this kind of headquarters of witches, sees the power within her. But Cole just wants a quick fix. He wants his daughter fixed and just to be a normal, little girl, and he won't take this idea that she's got this witch's power within her, and so drags her off. And of course this leads her down some very dark paths, which obviously led her to this dark cult cabal. And we get little drops of the characters within this. We had, who was it? There was Haley. We saw Haley, one of the gravediggers, get mortally wounded in the last issue. So we've got that little pocket of storyline, whether he's going to make it or not. We have the witch that had joined the gravediggers to help them on their path and decide to leave because she's kind of given up. There's this seemingly inevitable despair that this dark cabal is going to win. There is nothing they can do about it, and it's going to bring around an age of these dark gods. And with all this going on, it's kind of disheartening to me, because there's only 2 more issues of this to go. It finishes with issue 9, and he seems to be setting up a lot of stuff within this, and I just think he's left it perhaps too late. I don't know whether he expected this to go on much longer. Perhaps Gravediggers Union hasn't sold as much as he needed or wanted to allow this book to go on much longer, but I think there was much more to this book that could have been done with it. You've got alien monkeys, you've got demons, you've got witchcraft, you've got all this supernatural stuff floating around that could be used for future storylines, to be dealt with, a more overreaching arc. But unfortunately it's going to be over in 2 issues, and I think unless Wes Craig really knows what he's doing and he envisaged this ending in 9 issues, then I feel like the next 2 issues are going to be very rushed, unfortunately, and the ending isn't going to have that impact that this book kind of really deserves. It's a shame that if it is due to not enough people reading it, you missed out, because it was a great book. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're a big fan of BPRD, this is of that ilk, but dealing with those that don't have the resources that the BPRD are. Just show you some of Toby Cypress's artwork, which at first I will say I wasn't the greatest fan of, but it has warmed to me. But I would have liked this to continue to have at least a good long stretch, but people clearly didn't like it or didn't have the money to buy it, which is a shame. There's too many comics out there. It's Scotty Young's I Hate Fairyland issue 19 from Image Comics, and I think one of my favourite powers of the comic book world is that it allows me to take life less seriously, to relax, to just enjoy the craziness and the joy that is comic books, and Scotty Young definitely puts all that into this title. We've got Gertie, our main protagonist, in hell, and well, wherever she goes she's still making trouble. Here we've got space worms, humpy lump eggs, rocket ships. Every issue is as stupid and funny as the last, and it's a good thing. It's so over the top, and what we're dealing with here is trying to get Gertie out of hell, and it's up to poor little Duncan, still trapped in his kind of dinosaur costume, making his way down to hell to retrieve Gertie, who's reliving a scenario, trying, and is the only one who can remember that is happening, and trying to get her little kind of Jiminy Cricket character and this over-the-top superhero but turned villain cohort to just do as she's saying, because she's been through this. She knows where to go this time to defeat this big huge worm and get this egg that they need. And it's just silly, but the main premise is to get Gertie back to Fairyland. She's got to save all of Fairyland by defeating Dark Cloudia, and maybe, just maybe, she will finally get her reward of getting back home. What I love about this book, as stupid and as silly and as nonsensical as it is that that's the point. You don't have to find any hidden meanings in it. You don't need to read between the lines. It's just this kind of brash, unapologetic nonsense that it takes from those Looney Tunes cartoons, but ramps the volume up to like 100 until your eyes and ears bleed with the hilarity of it all. I just love this book. I don't know, I feel like this arc is coming to an end, but Scotty Young clearly doesn't want to leave this universe and just stop the book, and I'm sure once this arc is ended we'll have some hiatus, but it'll come back just as stupid, just as crazy as the last one. I really enjoy this book. If you want something that you can just kind of turn off that brain and just enjoy and be entertained by and laugh at, this is the one for you. It's time for another Mr. Miracle issue number 9, and this book certainly has the power to keep you on your toes. Last issue we had Big Barda giving birth to a newborn, and I guess maybe a few of us were expecting Tom King and Mitch Gerard to show us Mr. Miracle and Big Barda coping with being like mom and dad. But no, that's not what we have. It's completely devoid of mommy, daddy, baby time, as we get these 7 days of peace negotiation talks between Scott and Calabac. Now, I said with every issue of this that I really don't understand what's going on, but I wonder, and I kind of guess it is, that it is intentional, because there is something brutal and uneasy about these issues, and it's not just for the characters within this, because there are some images in here that are shocking for the characters. It's deeply kind of psychological, but it's also it's kind of this brutal uneasiness for the reader as well. I really like the comment that Jared Osborne put on my Wednesday's video about this book, that it is one of those kind of mystery box type comics where you aren't really meant to know what's going on, and we kind of have our fingers crossed that the payoff at the end of this 12-issue maxi series will pay off, will make sense, and we can go back and read it, pick up the clues along the way, because at the moment, you know, there's this continual mantra of what the hell is going on. Again, Gerard uses that 9-panel page grid to the max. It's crammed with all this information, these images and textures. But I wonder, by having all those panels, by having them all crammed in there, are we missing out on a lot of the information that are getting lost within, I guess, the cracks between the grid, and making this too much of a kind of information overload, and why, for the most part, and for me, I'm wondering what the hell is going on. I'm so tempted to go back and do a kind of in-depth look at each issue, really pore over them, rather than not like casual read of this book, because you can't be casual right while reading this, but probably pick up on stuff that on the first or second read you potentially could have missed. I mean, this feels like it's trying to be a classic in the making, and there are certainly some people out there, you know, really kind of bigging this book up, but there's just something missing there, and I hope, like I said, I hope that there is some conclusive ending from Tom King playing in this kind of fourth world Jack Kirby universe. We'll see. 3 more issues to go before this ends. It's still nice to look at. And here we are with Monstrous issue number 17, and as well as the power to kind of build characters, comic books clearly have the power to build worlds. But at the same time, and if they're careful and do it right, they can destroy them too. And Marjorie Liu in Monstrous has created in 17 issues this hugely expansive world, but here we kind of see things culminating and crashing down all around our characters. But it's intentional. This is not Marjorie Liu dropping the ball on this book, because it's fantastic. I have thoroughly enjoyed this high concept, kind of steampunkish, anthropomorphic fantasy tale. Last issue was crazy, and issue 17 doesn't let up on the craziness. But we had Micah and Zin, the demon that is attached and within her, surviving the trip, the mission to the laboratory to get parts to rebuild the shield to encapsulate and keep the people within this island safe. But are they too late? Because back on the surface, the war has already begun. Everyone, all these different factions from around this world have kind of converged on this island of Pontus. So we have the kind of Arcanics. These are the kind of anthropomorphic type characters of this universe. They are fleeing Pontus to safety while, you know, the chaos is going on all around. But is it all too late, as we find that the parts that Micah and Zina brought up, they're the wrong ones. They don't fit. This book has just increased the action and adventure, you know, tenfold. It's frantic, it's visceral, it's bloody, it's chaotic, but it is all held in check by our artist Sana Takeda, who is doing some amazing work in this book. We've got demonic battles, we've got battles on the sea, we've got battles with robots. It's such exhilarating stuff. I don't know whether Monstrous has long to go, but again, this feels like it's a culmination and coming up to the conclusion of this particular story arc. Whether Marjorie Liu has any more in store for us, whether this world has anything more in store for us. It might all have gone to pot by the end of it and there'll be no one left and no one will have survived. But just enjoying the crap out of this so much. If you like the idea of kind of high fantasy concepts, then this book certainly is for you. It's a gorgeous book to look at. I don't mind that we have to wait very long for very long between issues, because all the work that you can see from the art from Takeda is just gorgeous. If you like the kind of anime style, this is very a subtle version of it. It's not that kind of big bright eyes and a true kind of manga anime style, but there are subtle touches there. It's for you. It's definitely for you. We're almost at the end now, and the penultimate book of this video pull list is Marvel's 2-in-1, The Thing and the Infamous Iron Man. It's Marvel 2-in-1's annual issue number 1. And the most infuriating power that comics have are that it often poses more questions than it delivers answers. But sometimes, and with this one, it's in such a perfect and good way. Now, this issue could have quite easily been a dull Doom versus Doom story, but Zdarsky is a genius and flips this into a superbly layered look at the character of Doom, where he is now, his past, and I just really enjoyed this. It kicks off with a look at Doom as a young boy, being persecuted for being kind of gypsy origin, learning to fight to survive, showing at such an early age his loyalty to Latveria, that country that he eventually, you know, rules. And then it flips to our present, where we have The Thing and Doom kind of teaming up on this alternative dimension, timeline, universe, and infiltrating this timeline's version of Doom and the Castle Doom. But it raises a lot of questions on which Zdarsky attempts to kind of fill in the gaps that got left over from the Secret Wars event that happened a few years ago. And basically why Doom at the moment, because it's all very ambiguous, but why is he in this kind of present state of being a kind of good guy? I mean, yes, it's always deliberately ambiguous, because Doom is never full on, you know, good guy. He obviously, you know, the whole past, his relationship with the Fantastic Four and the antagonism between the two the two of them has been told over and over and over again. But we have the two Dooms confronting each other, and yes, they do have this fight as they're looking to find out what has happened to this universe's Mr. Fantastic. And we see on the floor of a room in the castle this elongated Mr. Fantastic and the skeleton. So it appears that that he's died, that Doom has conquered Mr. Fantastic once again. But through this little gizmo that is attached to Mr. Fantastic's costume, Doom manages to be kind of transported into a kind of, I guess you could call it a kind of pocket world that's kind of outside or maybe within all these universes. We get the idea that I think it was Jonathan Hickman who brought in the kind of the Council of Reeds, where all these Reed Richards came together and were basically brainstorming and coming up with ideas and concepts to make their worlds a better place. Of course, in Hickman's run, it all went to pot, but with fewer Reeds, and the idea that they've come to realise that their families, their friends, the people that they come across, they have to be part of the council in some way. They can't be kind of devoid of that relationship. They can't just rely on each other, and that's why the last council was ruined and went to ruination. And so we get this group of different Reed Richards talking to Doom, and we see a flashback to the end of Secret Wars, where Doom has been captured, and our Reed Richards kind of gives Doom this clean slate, and why we have this Doom without the scarred face, why he looks normal, you know what I mean. And there is this idea that Reed Richards, all these Reed Richards come up with, that Doom has always been so obsessed with the Fantastic Four and defeating them that he's never had the opportunity or the chance to use his superior intellect, which is generally only matched by Reed Richards, to go out and do actual good for the world, to use that intellect, that intelligence, to make the world a better place. And that's what we see in this book, that at the end of Secret Wars, it's kind of the gift that Reed Richards gave Doom, despite all the badness, all the creating the battle world in Secret Wars, and becoming this kind of omnipotent power that he's kind of always wanted to be. And we see by the end of this book that, the idea is for the Reed Richards, is that they want to create all these worlds that don't have Doom in them, or at least, the bad Doom, the evil Doom, the super villain Doom. But on top of that, you have to work. It kind of raises these questions. Is one of those Reed Richards our Reed Richards? Even Doom kind of has this. Are you my Reed Richards from the Marvel kind of 616 universe? And it also makes sense why everyone's going that they can't find the signature, that the DNA whatever signature of Reed Richards, and that he must be dead in the universe, because they're in this tiny pocket universe hidden from all the other universes again. And it's been kind of prefaced in the last issue of Marvel 2-in-1 that this doctor that we have that's travelling with them isn't all she's cracked up to be, that she's already aware that within all these universes they're never going to find the other members of the Fantastic Four, because apparently they're dead. So what is she really up to? Why is she wanting to follow the Thing and the Torch and Doctor Doom in all these universes? And plus, if our Reed Richards is really alive and is really one of these council, then where's Sue? So many questions left unanswered, and it drives me crazy. But such a fulfilling book, and clearly leading to what we already know is the upcoming and new book of the Fantastic Four, which I cannot wait for. It's time, it's about time. This feels, yes, it feels like a Fantastic Four book. All the Fantastic Four might not be there, but it's leading up to good stuff, and Zdarsky is just laying it on the line, laying all the clues out, building it up to this new release of Fantastic Four. I cannot wait. But this was a great book, and almost got my pick of the week. Okay, so we've made it to the pick of the week. I hope you've made it here as well. And I can't believe I'm giving this title the pick of the week once again. It's a shock to me as well, and that is the power of comics. And it doesn't happen very often that a comic book manages to shock and still surprise me. And in the hands of Matthew Rosenberg, The Punisher, this is issue number 226, I managed to do that by the end of this particular issue, and my mouth, my jaw just dropped, because I kind of felt that this particular issue could have potentially be coming to the end of this particular storyline, this War Machine storyline, where we've got Frank Castle, the Punisher, having the use of the War Machine armour that was given to him by Nick Fury to really give the the villains a hard time, because now he's got this onboard computer, he's got all this arsenal at his disposal, which makes his life at killing all these villains that much more easy. Of course, we've seen in past issues that the superheroes are not happy that he's not returned this armour. And there's the whole, which I don't understand, I've not read, that he kind of, in the whole Hydra Cap storyline that I just did not get involved with, that the Punisher kind of sided with Hydra, so that's another reason for all the superheroes to not be particularly happy with the Punisher and wanting to take him down. And we saw at the end of last issue Frank in the armour land by the CIA headquarters, and we see at the start of him going through them all, trying to get to the computers, and within it he manages to erase all kind of information about himself. What else did he did something else as well, but just quickly. Yeah, he's downloading all the files and from all the servers of the CIA into the computer, while at the same time erasing any files that pertain to himself. So you kind of feel this is his end game, to get rid of the armour, to go back to that kind of anonymity in some respects that the Punisher always had, that, you know, he did his job, but he did it within the shadows. He wasn't at such a, you know, the forefront of the kind of Marvel universe, but he's got obviously other plans. And yes, I do have to apologise for Wednesday when I said this guy on the front was, who did I say it was? I said it was Kang. And there is an element of Kang there, but it is, of course, Baron Zemo. Thank you to, I think it was Terry Hooper, that put me right, put me straight, slapped me on the wrist for not seeing that. But it's Baron Zemo, who's generally a Captain America a villain, but he's attached to all the Hydra, so it does obviously make sense. And so it's War Machine, Frank Castle, the Punisher, off to bring down the kind of the Hydra, or the head of Hydra here, as Baron Zemo. And of course there is the usual big battles. You've got Taskmaster in there, you've got Bones, what's his name, the villain Bones. Oh, I really should write this stuff down. But they have the big battle, and it looks as though he's gonna get his, as they managed to take him down. They managed to kind of immobilize the armor, but just at the last second, our heroes come into the fray and kind of help to get him to rescue him. So we've got Black Widow, we've got Hawkeye, we've got Bucky as the Winter Soldier, and we've got one more. I don't know who that is there. If anyone knows, please let me know. And there is this discussion from them all, you know, trying to get Frank to say, look, come on, you've got to give up this armour. This is not going to end well for you. But the Punisher still has a plan. He still has an end goal, and he wants to achieve that before, I guess, he will give up the War Machine armour. But our heroes at first appear not to want to let him do that, and it's not until, and I just didn't see it coming. Hawkeye is really giving the Punisher a piece of his mind, and telling him, you know, come on, enough is enough. And it's Black Widow suddenly zaps Hawkeye, knocks him out, and then knocks the other woman out that I don't know who is, and it's Bucky, and it's Black Widow, and it's the Punisher, and it looks like they're going to go off and finish this mission off. It feels like it's something to do with Nick Fury, but in fact, you know, Black Widow and Bucky both have had dealings with Hydra in the past. They have their own, I guess, revenge that they want to take on them. But I just did not see it coming, and I was just gobsmacked. I really was. Matthew Rosenberg is doing such great stuff with this book, and it leaps and bounds better than what Becky Cloonan was ever doing on it, and it's just made the Punisher title that much more exciting, that much more interesting to read, and I was genuinely shocked at the end of this issue. I just had to have a moment. I was like, that just happened. Fantastic, definitely worth of my pick of the week. We made it! Thank you very much, all of you, for watching. I'm glad and appreciative that you took the time to get through this video. Please don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what your pick of the week was, what you've been enjoying the most in comic books. Give this video a big thumbs up, and if you're still here and you're new, subscribe. There's more videos to come. Hit the notification bell and you will obviously be notified every time I put a video up, so you'll never miss one ever again. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Bye bye.